Hello and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mamani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is the 31st March 2020. Day is Tuesday. On our table, we have some interesting articles to go through. The first one is short end of the stick. This one is talking about coronavirus challenges, as well as this article is criticizing the steps taken by Government of India. Unusually inept. This one is criticizing steps taken by United States of America. Then we have one of the most important article of the day, in my opinion. The hunt for a cure begins with telling the truth. The importance of truth in curing coronavirus. Very out of the box point of view. Then we have a threat of food security. This article is written by Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations. And the last one is going to be this one, testing for COVID-19 in India. Before we move ahead, dear friends, I would like to quickly introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses. Our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different competitive exams. They are designed by the best faculties of our country. And dear friends, to find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. To download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So dear friends, the short end of the stick. As I told you, this one is criticizing government, and it is also talking about some challenges. The most important thing, the whole journey, it all started with a public health challenge. And now, on top, it is becoming a humanitarian crisis as well. And we have to stop this thing. We cannot let this coronavirus, a public health challenge, convert into a humanitarian crisis. As we all know that this lockdown started from 24th March 2020. And the most affected segment is this poor urban population, right? Interstate migrant particularly, they are the most affected. And the reason why they are most affected, I would like to remind all of you about our discussion that in which we have talked about the life of people living in UK. Remember, I told you that they have money, they don't have time to make or cook foods, cook their meals or food on regular basis. So what they do is, most of the time, in most families, most people of UK, as well as other countries, Western world, right? They will visit a nearby shop or sandwich shops and other things. These things are quite common in residential areas as well. So people, they go there, they pick up a newspaper, they will buy a couple of chocolates and wafers and other things. They will grab a sandwich and a drink, and this is a normal breakfast for most of the people. Right, most people. Lunchtime, they order sandwiches and other things, and generally speaking, people cook dinner. They cook their dinner. During the daytime, most of the time, they are buying something from outdoors. So they buy things like, basically it's pay as you go sort of life. So if you need something, you don't store it, you purchase it, and new day, new dollar, new food, right? This is how it works. In our country, situation is a bit similar, but in terms of money, as we all know, interstate migrant, they are poor people. And they don't have anything, most of them, means, as far as I know, we have thousands and lakhs of people. They are living on street. They are working, right, but they are sleeping on footpaths. They have this. You have these places in various different parts of our cities where you have people. They sleep on the street, and they cook as well in the evening time. I have seen them cooking on footpaths, and they will cook their meal, but they don't have anything where they can store their food items. Their dals and pulses and grains and other things. And I am sure all of us are aware about this thing, that when they are returning from their day's work, they are carrying these polythene bags and other bags along with their kids. You find these small bags in which you can see cooking oil and a little bit of rice and dal and other things. or maybe wheat, flour, or other things. So they also live on this pay-as-you-go thing, but they don't have that much money like people of UK and Western world. So this lockdown has created this humanitarian, it's becoming into a humanitarian crisis because they don't have anything to eat. So I think when they came across this news that they are going, that 21 days, that India is going to be in a lockdown phase for 21 days. So they decided that the best thing that they can do is to go back home. And because transportation and things were not available, so they decided to start this journey on their own foot. But now, you know that this is becoming a big issue. So Home Ministry has finally strictly directed all states to keep their, borders sealed. No one will be allowed to enter. And now temporary shelters will be created. Highway relief camps will be created so that these people, they can stay there. And food and everything will be provided. But before that, they will have to go through a test. They will be tested if they have coronavirus positive or not. If they don't have it, then they will be segregated in a different tents or different places. If they have it, then you know it very well that they will go through this medical process and things. But the most important thing that we have to keep in mind is that we should make sure that they are, this quarantine camps, they should not be ill-equipped. We have so many empty schools, we have so many empty colleges, and so we have buildings that are empty. There are so many hostels that are empty, business premises, and there are so many other offices, government offices, that they are empty. So we can put them over here. We can accommodate them for next 14 days. If they can see a shelter, if they have access to toilets, if they have access to food, running water. When I say running, I mean to say running tap water and electricity. If you can provide all these things, on top you need to provide them food, medicines, right? Then I don't think so they will, if they get all these facilities at a particular place, then I think they are ready to cooperate. I don't think like they are, if you provide them facilities, then they will cooperate. But it's a very logical thing. If a family is suffering from hunger, if they can see their kids are starving, if they don't have any food, if they are getting ill and things, then of course they are going to misbehave. These people or any person will do the same thing. So it is absolutely important that we utilize this public distribution system to provide them food and other sort of items that are necessary. As far as criticism is concerned, then it is very important to ask this question, that the first infected case of our country was back in late January. From January till 24th, late January, let's say we have let's assume that we had this 45 days from first case till this lockdown. So what were we doing? Have we learned anything from countries like South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, other nations? Have we learned anything from China's Wuhan lockdown? Have we prepared anything like food supplies? Did we have any sort of rough plans about that in case if we have to go through a lockdown, a partial lockdown or a full lockdown, what are the things that we can do? Was there any team working on this simultaneously? If not, then why not? These are the questions that we have to ask, because so many things were going on in different parts of the world. We have a prime example. This flag is of Italy, and you know the situation of Italy very well, isn't it? And we know even today in UK, right? The people of, I don't know why I'm still surprised. A country, UK, means it's known for, and the people as well, they are well famous for discipline. If you draw a line and if you just announce that people should not cross this line, then people will not cross that line. As far as I know, this is an image of people of UK. But nowadays you see people of UK, they are using their cars and they are loitering on the street and they are not taking this lockdown seriously. And it is, if I'm not wrong, it's going for a 6 month, or this lockdown can go for like 6 months in UK, not in India. But these are the questions, right? That what we were doing in this 45, roughly speaking, 45 days. And all of the sudden, if we have declared lockdown, then These are the things that are going on. So anyway, the blame game, we can do it later on, but these are the questions that we need to keep in our mind. But at present, the most important thing for the whole nation is to control the spread of virus. At the same time, we have to make sure that it does not convert into a humanitarian crisis. So as I told you, food and other things should be supplied, and we'll talk about it as we move on, as we have one dedicated article on food item. Then we have this unusual inept. Now, as far as I know USA, as far as we know USA is, I'm not saying it is 100% perfect nation, right? No nation is 100% perfect. But if you draw a graph, right, and if you have like a line of perfection, then USA is not that far from perfection. Generally speaking, things are far better in USA than other nations, right? Anyway, we are not going into indulging in all those reports and things, like it's not the happiest country, but still USA is a very capable nation, and we know it very well. And the whole world knows this thing. Now, it's very sad, as well as it's very unusual of USA, that if we go through yesterday's figure, then we find that in USA there are 143,527 cases, and this is 75% more cases than China. So what went wrong in USA? I think there are many things, right? The first is late response. Just like India, USA was also not that quick in controlling things. Means India decided to go ahead with a full lockdown. So that was the only option, I think, that was left with the government as well as with our country. On 23rd or 24th, this was the only thing, and this is the thing that we are going through. But in USA, you have this big epicenters like New York, you have New Jersey, Connecticut, and other places, and still people are not, we cannot say that it is a thorough lockdown, right? Still, you can see a bit of movement going on. But then you have countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea. We have talked about South Korea. Remember that without even this strong measures of lockdown, it was able to bring down these numbers, because on 20th January, South Korea got their first case of coronavirus. On the same day, USA also got their first case of coronavirus. But the way they reacted, as well as both these countries, the way they have handled this situation is far, it's totally different. South Korea went ahead with testing people, 18,000 plus people per day testing started. And USA was, still not that, was not taking that seriously, and now it has started taking things seriously. I was going through the speech of Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump has said that he is, going through, he said that he is, he has had a word with so many people associated with this pharmaceutical companies. So they have devised they have invented some new test kits, and this test kits will be provided to various different states and local people in the sense, the local machinery of the government, so grassroots level, right? And USA is also saying, Mr. Trump said that the number has gone up because USA has started testing people, and this is the only reason why this number is going up. He said that there are other countries, right, their numbers will go up as well, but they are not testing that many people, and this is the only reason why numbers are still low in other countries. And if this is reality, if this is truth, then I think we are in big trouble, because I'm not sure how many people we are testing now. Last discussion on this testing was like out of 10 lakh people. I think I gave you this figure yesterday as well. We were testing some 11 people only. At the same time, South Korea was testing 18,000 plus people, right? So I'm not sure how many people are being tested out of 10 lakh people. How many people, 10 lakh USAs or American citizens, I'm not sure how many of them are being tested by government. But as per Mr. Trump, he's testing more people, and this is the reason why the numbers are going up. But anyway, USA also wasted its time in doing all these things. But still, I think before I closed this article, I would say that USA has this capacity, and many a times, USA has proved its mettle. So I think USA will be all right, but I'm not sure. Means this is just my estimation based on past experiences, or if we go through the history of USA, it looks like it will be able to control it, but you never know what can happen in future. Let's hope for the best. Let's pray for the people of America as well as for the whole world, including India, of course. The hunt for a cure begins with telling the truth. This article is written by Annie Zaidi. She is a writer as well as a filmmaker. Outstanding article, right? The reason why it is outstanding, I'm sure you will find out as well. Now, this is a reality, and this is very sad as well, that there are so many people, right? Indians, they were not in our, means they were abroad. They had this history, or they have this history of traveling to those countries where, like Spain, Italy, other like China, and there are other countries, right? So they were here, but when this whole thing started, so they came back to India, and many of them, they took this shortcut as well. They took paracetamol to keep their body temperature a bit low, and they escaped these tests that were going on airports. And it is very sad that bureaucrats as well as few doctors have helped their relatives to evade this quarantine. So if we want to cure this coronavirus, if we want to control it, right, the first important step is not testing. I think it is truth. You should be able to, you should take it it's a very sad thing if someone has to face this coronavirus, or someone is infected with coronavirus. But I would say about myself, like, God forbid, but if someone gets infected with this, let's say if I get infected, I'm just giving you an example, then I know I won't feel happy about it. Of course, no one will feel happy about it. It's going to be a bit challenging, but I will take it positively in that way that I will give a call to, the authority, and I will thoroughly follow what they are telling me, because that's the only option that I have. Right? I will try my level best. I will try myself to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, and I will also behave very responsibly. I will not go out and infect other people. If I'm doing that, then I'm a very horrible person. And all those people who are doing this thing, they were knowing that they are not feeling well. They have evaded this quarantine, or they have evaded this tests, or they have cheated these tests by taking paracetamol and other things. And those bureaucrats and doctors who have helped these people, they are also very horrible people, because they have, because of these people. Can you imagine all these things are going on, this lockdown? Why we have this lockdown going on? Because we are not able to control, or means we don't have that many facilities as well in our country. But these people, these affluent people who have behaved in this way, so this is a sad thing. And now things are at a pass that journalists are being threatened for revealing the truth about how ill-equipped doctors and health workers are, or how ill-equipped or ill-organized the state response is. And if this is a reality, then that's again a very shocking as well as sad thing. We are a land of Mahatma Gandhi, right? And we know Mahatma Gandhi for truth and violence. But I think we people are very, I would say, very selfish, as well as I would also use the word, we are very, tricky, or a word is chunt. Chunt means basically you are, you are very cunning. When I say you, I mean to say we the people. And the reason why I'm saying is, when we want something from the government, right, then we will demonstrate. When we want something, then we will go for fast as well. We'll go for marches as well. These are the things, or these tools were made famous by Mahatma Gandhi. I'm not saying he invented them. I'm not sure about who invented them. But I know, as far as my knowledge is concerned, information is concerned, Mahatma Gandhi ji was the person who popularized this demonstrations, fasts and marches. So when we want something, we'll do these things. But when it comes to speaking truth, if we see like by speaking lie, if we can benefit for short term, then we'll go for it. So we are not ready to take Mahatma Gandhiji as well, 100%. You know, we are taking bits and pieces, and we are customizing things here, right? Rather than following his core principles about being, honest. Chunavi Jumla. Nowadays, this is a very common thing in means, there are so many politicians, and you find these politicians in, generally speaking, all parties, right? So they speak, lies as well whilst doing these campaigns. And this thing is considered as a sort of, it's part and parcel of it. It's so common now that we have accepted it as a part and parcel of this election campaigns. Same thing goes with other things in our normal routine, in our normal lives as well. There are so many people we know that they are lying in small matters. If they are late, then they will not say they are late because they overslept. They will say that they are not feeling well and they took medicine last night, and they are this sort of people, right? Over the phone as well. They will say that they are out of station. If they have to give money to someone, then they will say, oh, look, listen, this happened and that, and etc. Rather than saying that these are the things, this is a reality. So this is deterioration in our character, in public or in general, drop in our values. If we go through some other facts, real facts, then we have that India spends only 1.2% of our GDP on health. Over 55 million Indians were pushed below the poverty line in 2011-12 because of out-of-pocket health expenses. In 2014-15, government slashed 20% of public health or this health budget. So these are the realities, but we don't talk about this sort of realities on regular basis. And despite warnings from the World Health Organization, despite COVID-19 deaths being reported in China and Italy, India continued to export protective medical equipment. So those bureaucrats, what they were doing? Right? There are so many questions, right? Now, we are not talking, of course, the main priority is to control this virus, but I'm sure once everything is settled, and hopefully it will settle in near future, once everything is okay, back to normal, then we need to ask this sort of questions, because it is important. I'm not saying that we need to, basically means we are not here to throw someone, behind the bars. It's not important. The most important thing, the biggest lesson that we can learn from this whole incident is that how we can create systems, how we can create things, standard operating procedures through which we can protect ourselves and our society from this sort of, if there are any sort of this sort of challenges, we have to use our imagination as well. Like if something goes wrong, let's say a new virus comes out or a new thing that comes out, then what are the best things that we can do? Medical stores and other things. Are there any ways through which we can supply? Can we have utilized drones and other things through which we can supply medicines and other? We have to go out of the box. We have to have some government trucks and other things that can supply necessary items. It should provide things to each and every corner. We can deploy those motorcycles, delivery motorcycles that can supply things to various different households in this sort of crisis in future. Insurance, so many things. Now, one positive thing that government has done is providing health insurance of 50 lakh rupees to all those health workers. But this is not enough. I'm not talking about health workers. I'm talking about the reality, the true face. Sanitation workers, they cannot take day offs, right? They are been told strictly that they have to turn up, they have to do their duty. They are not allowed to stay home. But are we providing them proper masks? Are we providing them soap and water? Are we providing them all those necessary jabs and other things that will boost their immunity? They are basically collecting infected masks. Are we providing them health insurance? These are the questions that we need to ask. So anyway, the most important thing, 3 things: food, shelter, medical aid. And when we say shelter, I would add 2 more things here. One is electricity, and the second thing is internet. These 2 things. Electricity, very important. Most of the time, internet is people are using via phone, isn't it? So internet facility should also be provided. Television, internet facility. If you can provide television and other things, it means basically these things should go on food, shelter, medical aid should be easily available. Then only you can persuade people to stay indoors. We can learn so many things from Kerala, Cuba, South Korea. There are other examples as well. So, we need to do everything that we can do to make sure that we provide all these things. Now, for food, again, I would like to add some more points because this article is written by FAO, DG of FAO UN. And he has said that COVID-19 pandemic is putting enormous strain on public health systems around the world. And he's right. Millions of people are in some sort of quarantine now. And we have to make sure that the food supply chain, right, they are not disrupted. They operate as smoothly as possible because, food is a basic necessity. And see, here the most important point is this one. Prevention costs less, right? Prevention is better than cure. There are so many people, if they will not get proper food in this few days, right, that will impact their whole life, right? They may die as well. They may go through this malnourishment and other things. They may suffer, and to cure those things will cost more. It will cost more energy, time, and human energy, human hours, and etc. So there are challenges, right? At present, workers are not able to go out and work in agricultural field. There is a shortage of fertilizers, veterinary medicines, other inputs are not available. So it is going to affect agricultural production. It's going to affect our milk production, suppliers, buyers, right? Everyone is going to get affected. This is going to impact our economy. And this is not just about India. This is a global problem at present, right? At present, there is no food shortage. But we are gradually heading towards a food shortage. So it is very important that we work now. We don't want to see the same situation like coronavirus, isn't it? During its inception period, it was taken a bit lightly, and now it is a major challenge. So same thing can happen with food security too. So it's a very very important thing that we take this thing very seriously. And here again I have a very important point that COVID-19 forcefully reminds us that solidarity is not charity. We are not doing any favor by working with each other. It's a common sense, right? We will either swim or sink together. Remember. Last one is testing for COVID-19 in India. Now this article is a bit technical, but we are going to stick with the general studies thing. So real-time reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, RT-PCR. This is the full form of RT-PCR. You have to by heart it because you can find this sort of item in MCQ, GK question. Easily they can ask you that diagnostic test associated with COVID-19 called RT-PCR. Identify its full form. So this is its full form. You'll find this sort of question in various different competitive exams in future, maybe state level one or maybe national level one as well. Not sure. It all depends on this exam, but still this is a very important information. Now, how it works is basically it will convert this viral RNA into DNA without going into too much technicality. Research lab is a bit different from diagnostic lab. The main difference is that the result of diagnostic lab is used for clinical decision making. In our country, we have 176 labs, including this 47 private labs that are approved by ICMR. And Food and Drug Administration, US FDA, has approved some 20 manufacturers and kits for diagnostic testing of COVID-19. You have this company called Roche. They are the ones, their first test kit has been given green signal by FDA. They have one more company, Thermo Fisher. They are going to come out with another one, TechPath COVID-19 combo kit. And we are allowed to use all those kits that are given green signal by FDA, and we have our own indigenous kits. So we need to make more indigenous ones. They are cheaper to make here and easily available, but at the same time we have to make sure that their quality is not inferior. And these two articles, right, this one is written by CM of Karnataka. Most of the time I tell you that articles written by chief ministers and ministers are important. Yes, this one is important as well, but if you go through it, you won't find anything new in it, because so far we have discussed about the things that are important, providing food, shelter and other facilities, and how other countries. We have talked about Kerala's example. We have talked about South Korea and other items. So if you go through it, you'll find that I will reckon you guys to go through it once, right? Have a quick glance over it. And same thing with this one. This one is too critical about government. Now, all those important things we have already talked about, criticizing government, we have done it. This one is going a bit deeper, but we don't need that much, right? Of course, we are going to see some sort of criticism articles, and these are important as well in future. Then we have these news items. The good thing is that government is saying that still India is in this local transmission mode rather than community transmission. So that's a good thing. We are still, the numbers are not that high, and that's good, right? I hope these numbers are right, and I hope we have only this many cases. It's important because a country like India, we cannot handle this. We have huge population density is quite high, and medical facilities are not that much. Migrant workers given mass disinfectant bath in Bareilly, and this is this is not acceptable. Actions are ordered against officials. As you can see here in this infographic, India is among 41 countries which crossed 1,000 COVID-19 cases. Still not that bad. And we have this good news coming from MIT, number one university in the world, is saying that your tropical countries or a bit of humidity may deter. It will not stop, right? It's not claiming that it will stop, but it will slow down the transmission of coronavirus. So that's a good news for India. Rabi harvest to be affected, as we have already talked about it. And Assam police is lauded for adopting a sensitive approach. And last one is this one. IIT Hyderabad has recommended this sort of ventilator. This is a sort of pump, right? Bag value mask it is called. And we can produce them for somewhere around 5,000 rupees per piece, and this can be given to those patients. So this is much cheaper compared to 40 lakh, 16 lakh, or 5 lakh, 6 lakh that we need to spend after this ventilators. So if this is if we can utilize this, if this product has its utility, then yes, we can create it. So we can go ahead with mass production, and this can be a game changer. And that's basically everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Jai Hind.